aumentar sua coleção de Ben 10 com bonecos, Omnitrix e veículos? Acesse agora a nossa loja, o link tá na descrição. A infância passa, mas algumas histórias ficam pra sempre. Pra muita gente, Ben 10 foi mais do que um desenho, foi um mundo inteiro, foi um sentimento, foi uma fase da vida que marcou pra sempre. E hoje esse vídeo é uma homenagem a tudo isso. Eu reuni várias pessoas aqui pra contar a própria história com Ben 10, os episódios que ficaram nas memórias, os brinquedos que viraram relíquias, os jogos que tomaram horas do nosso dia e todas aquelas lembranças que fizeram essa franquia se tornar parte da gente. E quando essas histórias terminarem, a gente abre de vez as portas do multiverso, porque depois disso vocês vão conhecer uma das melhores EUs, universos alternativos, conceitos únicos, ideias insanas que nasceram do amor que a gente carrega desde criança. E para deixar esse especial ainda melhor, a gente tem participações que são simplesmente gigantescas. O Kuro do Karamic Tank, criador de Ben 10 5 Years Later, Capeco, Celtro e Rene, criadores de Ben 10 Galaxy, o Dux, criador de Ben 10 Delta, o Derek Z, criador do Xelutrix, Demoy Wonder, criador do Absolute, e o Daniel Leite também falando um pouco sobre Destiny Heroes. E pra fechar com chave de ouro, o próprio Kuro vai apresentar aqui pra gente palavras ditas pelo criador do Carnitrix, Shactrix e Astrofobia. Então se ajeita aí, porque esse vídeo não vai ser só um especial, é uma viagem completa pela nossa história com Ben 10. Hey galera, fala aí, aqui é o Lucky, sejam bem-vindos a mais um vídeo. Bom rapaziada, no vídeo de hoje vamos contar aqui a nossa história com Ben 10 e também algumas das melhores EUs de Ben 10. Então já vai deixando o seu like, se inscreva no canal, ativa o sininho e também me siga aqui em todas as minhas redes sociais, que vai estar tudo aqui na descrição. Então é isso e bora pro vídeo.
Hey folks, I'm Rob Warpilla, better known as Kuro the Artist of the Ink Tank. You may know my work on the crossover series 5 Years Later, which takes the worlds of Ben 10 and Danny Phantom and throws them into an epic cosmic battle of ethics, power, and what it means to be a hero. It also includes characters from other franchises as well, such as Invader Zim, Generator Rex, and Dragon Ball. In addition, we have an animated mockumentary spin-off titled And Beyond, where we can delve deeper into the expansive lore of our multiverse. I've been a huge fan of Ben 10 ever since the 2005 classic show was airing on TV. It almost immediately became my favorite show. I was obsessed with the art style, the alien transformations, and all of the different ways it would surprise you, like Ben unlocking new aliens, Gwen learning magic, and the big payoff movie, Secret of the Omnitrix, which is nothing short of a generational banger of a film. I owned a handful of action figures and DVDs of Ben 10 growing up, but since I moved around a lot, I lost my collection little by little, and now I don't think I have anything left from my younger days, unfortunately. But I've been lucky enough to start collecting again with the newer wave of merch that's been coming out, so I think I'm making up for it. In large part to moving around a lot, everything was always changing in my life. It made it hard to have consistent friends and hobbies, and I didn't start actually getting close with my family until well into my adult life. But the one thing I always had was Ben 10. I'd always be checking out the forums, watching 480p clips on YouTube, and the endless waves of fan art I would cook up. I must have drawn Heat Blast more than I've written my own name. There were a few years where we didn't have internet or cable in my apartment, so to keep up with the show, I'd race home after school to score a slot at my local library's computer lab and watch the episodes there. Honestly, watching it that way kinda sucked, but thankfully I had some way to stay in the loop. The show was too important for me to miss out. But the biggest thing I've gotten out of Ben 10 is my aforementioned web series, 5 Years Later, or 5YL for short. I started 5YL as a traditionally drawn Facebook webcomic that first premiered on April 3rd, 2017. Now in the present, it's a digitally drawn motion comic with voice acting, special effects, and an original score, funded by a Patreon and YouTube membership program, merchandise, and an incredible, and I mean incredible community full of creative and supportive people from around the world. My journey getting this far has had a lot of ups and downs, endless trials and errors, and of course some fun along the way. But I've talked about the history of 5YL all over the internet already. Instead, I'd like to take the time to focus on the legacy the Ink Tank and I are leaving behind. First, I'd like to address our community once more. I'll be singing their praises as long as I live, because I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. We could not have done this without your support. We've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of 5YL fan art over the years, and it really helps us feel the love in what we do. We've seen 5YL cosplayers, 5YL mods in video games, even some bootleg merchandise, which I find hilariously amusing. Working on 5YL is how I met OR Ash and Kellen Goff, who are some of my closest friends now. It took me across the country to my first convention as a guest. I've gotten to collaborate with some of my favorite content creators, and even work with the cast and crew of Ben 10 themselves on multiple occasions. We got the lead actor Yuri Lowenthal to voice Alien X in 5YL. I mean, That's freaking insane. And on the ground floor, such as our comment sections on Discord, Reddit, Tumblr, wherever the fan base is, I've grown fond of seeing familiar names and faces. So when I say we're a community, I mean more than just an audience. 5YL has given me the opportunity to be an anchor point that keeps this community strong, much like Ben 10 was an anchor point to keep me strong in my life. I do everything in my power to keep it alive. I experiment with new ideas, I try to shake things up, and I just try to be as fun and entertaining as I can be. Hey everyone, Kuro the Artist here, and... oh, hold on a second. Nope, not this one. There we go. Because whenever I insult Omniverse, it's always...
yeah, but don't forget, UAF wasn't perfect either.
Ultimate my foot.
Excuse me?
Ultimate my foot.
And it all starts right here in Dimension 23. So Universe 23 is easily the most fleshed out alternate universe in Ben 10.
You gotta dream big, Junior. You gotta dream big, Junior.
Working on this series has also greatly improved my own artistic skills, along with editing capabilities, my acting, and most notably, patience. With all the hurdles that we've had putting this thing together, I feel like there's nothing left that can get thrown at me that I won't be ready for. When the series wraps up in 2026, I'm gonna miss it greatly. But I'm also excited to pursue other projects, and I hope you'll stick around for the ride. But until then, have a fantastic rest of your year. And as always, keep it fizzy.
O meu nome é Celtron e eu sou um dos roteiristas, criadores de world building e desenvolvedores de design de Ben 10 Galaxy, ao lado dos meus parceiros Capeco e Reni. Eu amo Ben 10 desde a infância, quando eu assistia aos DVDs do clássico, que minha mãe comprava pra mim, colecionava brinquedos e passava inúmeras manhãs assistindo a série no Cartoon Network. Depois que eu descobri o fandom na internet, só fez esse amor que eu tinha crescer ainda mais, e inclusive me ajudou até a aprender um pouco de inglês. Com o tempo, eu comecei a escrever fanfics e eventualmente passei a integrar canais brasileiros de Ben 10 como roteirista. Hoje é uma honra ajudar a expandir o legado da franquia que ajudou a moldar parte de quem eu sou hoje.
Meu nome é Capeco e sou um dos 3 principais produtores de Ben 10 Galaxy, atuando como roteirista e world builder. Meu amor por Ben 10 começou muito cedo, tanto que ele foi até tema do festa de aniversário de 6 anos. De álbuns de figurinhas a brinquedos, sempre fui muito apaixonado pela franquia, que hoje posso apoiar não só através de Ben 10 Galaxy, mas também ajudando a produção de vídeos no canal Luxink e Daniel Leite. É uma honra participar deste vídeo e celebrar a história de Ben 10. Agora, vou ler um texto preparado por Reni para se apresentar, nosso artista, que é um dos criadores de Galaxy, junto comigo e com o Celto. Olá, meu nome é Reni e sou um artista visual apaixonado por transformar ideias em imagens e histórias. Desenhar sempre foi minha forma de enxergar e expressar o mundo, algo muito além de um simples hobby. Trabalho com uma ampla variedade de artes visuais, desde ilustrações digitais tradicionais até a criação completa de HQs, capas e artes conceituais. Cada trabalho que produzo carrega um pouco da minha visão e emoção, transformando a imaginação em algo tangível. Minha maior paixão é criar histórias em quadrinhos, onde arte e narrativa se misturam de forma perfeita. Por meio delas, posso dar vida, voz e movimento a personagens e mundos que nascem da minha mente. Eu me considero uma pessoa criativa, proativa e idealista, qualidades que definem como encaro tanto a arte quanto a vida. Eu não espero por inspiração, eu a construo, traço por traço, página por página. Desde criança, sempre fui profundamente inspirado por Ben 10, seus alienígenas, transformações e a mistura aventureira de ficção científica com heroísmo. Com o tempo, senti vontade de explorar desse universo mais a fundo, expandindo-o sem perder sua essência. Foi assim que nasceu Ben 10 Galaxy, um projeto criado junto com meus amigos Capeco e Celtron para reinterpretar e expandir a franquia que amamos. Para mim, Galaxy é mais que uma fancomic, é uma reinterpretação criativa e uma homenagem feita com o coração a uma série que moldou o que eu sou. Cada página é produzida com cuidado para que o leitor não apenas observe a história, mas se sinta parte dela, viajando por mundos alienígenas, vivendo as mesmas emoções que os personagens. A arte, para mim, é um diálogo entre criador e público, entre realidade e imaginação. Com o Ben 10 Galaxy, espero inspirar outras pessoas a criar, sonhar e perceber que a paixão pode transformar qualquer ideia em algo extraordinário. Ben 10 Galaxy é um projeto de HQ independente que busca continuar a história de Ben 10 Omniverse, ao mesmo tempo que reimagina certos elementos que acreditamos merecer em exploração mais profunda. Nosso objetivo é lapidar conceitos deixados deixar de lado, expandir ideias pouco desenvolvidas e celebrar o enorme potencial do universo Ben 10 de uma forma que seja fresca e respeitosa com seu legado. Sabemos que inúmeros projetos de fãs imaginaram o que vem depois de Omniverse, muitos partindo diretamente da Space Trip sugerida no final da série. Por isso, em vez de revisitar esse terreno já conhecido, Galaxy continua além dessa jornada não mostrada. Mas não se engane, ela aconteceu, e esses eventos fora de cena têm um papel muito crucial na construção do conflito que agora ameaça a galáxia. Essas consequências levam diretamente a uma das partes mais misteriosas e esquecidas da história de Ben 10, a Guerra Limax. Mencionada apenas brevemente, curiosidade nos pop-ups da série clássica, mas nunca realmente explorada, finalmente estamos dando a esse conflito a atenção que ele merece, transformando-o em um evento massivo que se desenrola pelas estrelas, afetando dezenas de mundos e civilizações. Fiel ao seu nome, Ben 10 Galaxy não é sobre linhas do tempo alternativas ou universos paralelos. Já vimos bastante disso ultimamente. Em vez disso, nosso foco retorna ao que tornou Ben 10 realmente especial desde o início, a própria galáxia. Estamos mergulhando de cabeça na riqueza dos mundos alienígenas, espécies e culturas, cada planeta cuidadosamente construído para parecer vivo, único e cheio de potencial narrativo. Nossa direção criativa se apoia numa vasta base de referências que vai desde jogos, HQs, mercadorias oficiais a décadas de conhecimento da comunidade, tudo reunido em uma expansão coesa do universo original. A história gira em torno da nossa visão de Ben Tennyson, agora com 18 anos, começando a dominar o controle mestre. Ele está mais velho, mais experiente, começando a compreender o verdadeiro peso do poder que ele carrega. Ao longo do caminho, ele desbloqueará várias formas alienígenas, algumas totalmente originais, outras inspiradas em criações da comunidade de fãs, especialmente 5 Years Later, da Ink Tank, que foi uma grande influência para a nossa equipe. Mas, além de novos alienígenas imundos, a história acrescenta um vilão completamente original, um ser de origem desconhecida, cuja existência parece misteriosamente ligada ao próprio Omnitrix. Imaginamos que sua chegada desencadeie uma cadeia de eventos capaz de decidir o destino de inúmeros mundos e colocar à prova a compreensão do nosso bem sobre o que realmente significa ser um herói.
Por trás do projeto, Celtron e Capeco cuidam da escrita, do desenvolvimento da história e da direção narrativa geral. Todo o visual impressionante vai ganhar vida pelas mãos do nosso único artista principal, o incrivelmente talentoso Rene. Juntos, a gente vai colaborar de forma próxima para garantir que cada cena, cada mundo e cada design sejam fiéis à essência da franquia. Também temos orgulho do apoio do Daniel Leite, cujo canal e comunidade forneceram financiamento e incentivo essenciais para tornar a Galaxy uma realidade. Nada disso seria possível sem a generosidade e confiança de vocês no que estamos construindo. E por fim, Ben 10 Galaxy busca não apenas homenagear o próprio Ben 10, mas também prestar tributo a outras obras que compartilham seu universo, mesmo que de forma mais sutil, como Sábados Secretos e Mutante Rex. Acreditamos merecer muito mais reconhecimento do que realmente receberam. No fim das contas, nossa missão é bem simples: entregar uma história feita com coração e alta qualidade, que reacenda tudo que tornou esse universo tão amado. Para fãs antigos e novos, esperamos que Galaxy seja como voltar para casa, algo de que aqueles que tornaram o mundo de Ben 10 possível possam se orgulhar profundamente, especialmente aqueles que já não podem mais celebrar conosco. Também gostaríamos de mandar um grande abraço a outros fãs incrivelmente talentosos de Ben 10, que compartilham da mesma paixão e ambição por seus próprios projetos. Então, um enorme salve para o nosso amigo Tulin e a sua fancomic Pokétrix, assim como para o Sans, criador do Omni-Aids, o Rinzumi da NRK e, claro, para a incrível fancomic brasileira Rise of the Omni-Hero, excelentemente criada pelo Igrão Dias. E assim, a nossa equipe tem grandes esperanças e uma fé genuína em um futuro brilhante para essa franquia. Estamos muito animados com o lançamento da próxima HQ oficial de Ben 10, que finalmente trará aos fãs mais uma aventura nesse universo que tanto amamos. Então estamos torcendo para que seja um enorme sucesso, não apenas para abrir portas para futuras edições, mas para ajudar a Ben 10 a se erguer novamente e voltar ao destaque que merece. Queremos ver Ben 10 de volta às telonas, de volta ao mundo dos videogames, quem sabe com um jogo em mundo aberto no futuro, e novamente enchendo as prateleiras com brinquedos, figuras e colecionáveis que inspirem uma nova geração, porque para nós, Ben 10 não é apenas nostalgia, é criatividade, imaginação e um universo cheio de potencial que ainda tem muito a oferecer. E por isso que continuaremos trabalhando e contribuindo da melhor forma possível para ver essa franquia prosperar novamente. Queremos tanto os fãs antigos quanto os novos redescobrirem essa joia rara dos anos 2000, agora reinterpretada para o mundo atual com novas histórias, alienígenas insanos, conceitos ousados e o mesmo espírito que a tornou tão especial desde o início.
Hi, I'm Dux. Today I'm a comic artist and animator working on 3 different Ben 10 fan projects. But let's go back to the beginning, before any of that. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I don't think I have any memories of life before Ben 10. I've been a diehard fan for as long as I can remember. I even recall begging my dad to let me skip school so I could binge the 10-10-10 marathon that happened all the way back in 2010. That's a lot of 10s. I also have old fan art I used to make for the show. I was the leader of the Ben 10 fan club and we used to make paper Omnitrixes and run around. So it's pretty clear that this show has been an essential part of my childhood and has forever impacted my life. But why? How did I get so hooked on this show in the first place? In the same conversation as Superman or Batman, heck even Spider-Man, why was Ben 10 my favorite? Well, initially it wasn't anything deep or profound. Just the concept of a regular kid that could turn into so many different heroes to handle any situation was really cool to me. It was powerful yet grounded, in a way that I could actually place myself into the main character's shoes, and I'll be honest, the realistic power fantasy was what initially hooked me on. Much like Ben, I was so hyped every time he'd get forearms or Diamond Head, because they were the strong aliens and I hated the weak ones like Grey Matter. But the more I watched, the more Ben matured, so did I. I enjoyed when Ben would rebel and act up, and I was in awe when his morality and compassion would shine through. I vividly remember when I first watched Ben and Kevin's fight as Tetramans. It was insane seeing Ben so easily put Kevin down. I had genuine chills and I remember feeling disappointed when Ben timed out, because that meant the action was over, that the hype was over. But then he reaches out to Kevin and tries to befriend him. He gives him another chance and a place to belong. In a weird sense, I felt like Kevin, envious and captivated by Ben's power. And when Ben reached his hand out to Kevin, I finally understood that a hero isn't made by power, but by compassion. Kevin was the bad guy, but it didn't mean you beat him up and just throw him away or kill him. The more the series progresses, the more and more this sentiment is brought to light. Whether it's Ben befriending Rhiney, defending the DN aliens from Darkstar, or curing the hybrid altogether, Ben grew to become this embodiment of good. All throughout Alien Force, seeing so many instances of Ben trying to communicate or find a different solution instead of just punching his problems was so cool to me. And I really think I was able to grow up alongside this show, and it's become such a huge part of my life, so much so that now I've started my own fan comic. Right before we talk about it, I'd like to talk about how we got there. If I didn't meet my good friend Darren's and work on Zellatrix, if he didn't encourage me to do my own comic, and if you guys didn't support me, it would have never happened. This community and all you amazing people that are a part of it is the best thing about being a Ben 10 fan. Genuinely, all the creators and viewers are so amazing, and it's so much fun just sharing content, doing collabs all over this show that we're so passionate about. Even with no new official media, not a day will go by that this series isn't talked about or loved online. And I think that's something really special. With that sappy stuff out of the way, let's get into my comic, Ben 10 Delta. Delta is essentially the answer to the question, what if Ben never took the watch off? Due to this premise, I often get comments relating Delta Ben to the first Ben 10K future we saw in Classic, since it's speculated that this Ben also never took his watch off. While they share some similarities, it's not an exact Road to 10K storyline.
Hey, are you forgetting who knocked some sense into that old man? So don't worry. I'm actually nothing like the hero of heroes. I'd be so lost without you and Grandpa. I might have even taken the Omnitrix off and given up, really. There's actually...
I'm borrowing from and building upon the lore and story arcs left behind by all the mainline shows to create something new and tell a different story. See, Azimuth never intended the Omnitrix to be used for hero work, and using the Omnitrix doesn't inherently make you a hero. So I posed this question. What does it mean to wield the Omnitrix? One of my favorite lines from the show is when Ben says, "I'm one of everybody." The burden and responsibilities that come with representing everyone is often overlooked by the awe of being able to become anyone, and that's something I'll be delving into. It'll be one of the major themes that Delta will be focused around. And now that that's established, let's briefly go over the start of the comic. Delta Ben has now spent an additional year rounding up all of his rogues and handing them up to the plumbers. Unbeknownst to anyone else, this was Ben preparing to leave Earth and head to the Plumbers Academy, where he could learn to be a proper hero, inspired by his grandpa and fueled by the loss of feedback. After all the villains have been cleared up, Ben entrusts Gwen to be the protector of Earth, since he won't really be around anymore, as he's about to embark on his own journey to become an official plumber. But he's faced with an unexpected surprise: teammates. It's nobody new though, as they're all familiar faces, like Cooper Williams, the weird kid with powers, Kai Green, Ben's one-time crush, and Lucy Mann, Ben's odd alien cousin. Ben seems to have this mysterious aversion to teammates and also some extra history with Cooper that we don't know about yet. But that's not all. We have another returning act with the stern and steadfast Professor Prior Galil, who is to be the team leader for this squad. This group of seemingly random ragtag rookies might seem like nothing more than an odd bunch, but they're an experimental special forces group meant to take down or handle planetary level threats covertly, ranging from political discourse, full-on wars, or even just madmen threatening peace. Now let me reintroduce them. To achieve these ends, the team is comprised of a technopath capable of breaking through any digital obstacle, a Lenopan capable of impersonating and infiltrating any stronghold, and an archaeologist specialist to adapt the team for any terrain. But where does Ben tie into all this? Well, in case they get caught or something goes wrong, that's where he comes in. He's the nuclear option, Weapon X. But is this really Ben's purpose? Should he just go on beating up the next bad guy over and over? Find out more as the story unfolds. That'll be all from me, and thank you to everyone for watching and also for this awesome opportunity to be a part of this celebration.
Cara, o que eu posso falar sobre Ben 10? Pra muita gente, Ben 10 foi só um desenho incrível, mas pra mim foi muito mais do que isso. Foi uma parte da minha vida, foi uma fase inteira, foi um daqueles momentos que você não percebe na hora, mas que lá na frente você entende que mudou tudo. Ben 10 não só me divertiu, ele me ensinou coisas de verdade, me ensinou sobre responsabilidade, sobre escolha, sobre amadurecer e principalmente sobre o amor e união dentro da família. É muito doido parar pra pensar nisso hoje em dia, porque eu nunca imaginaria que um garoto simplesmente que amava essa franquia desde criança, um dia teria o maior canal de Ben 10 do Brasil e ainda seria um dos maiores do mundo. E cara, isso é surreal pra mim até agora. Parece até mentira quando eu falo em voz alta, mas sim, isso é realmente verdade. E o mais impressionante é que tudo isso começou de um jeito simples, como começam as coisas mais marcantes da vida. O meu primeiro contato com Ben 10 foi na casa da minha avó, assistindo o episódio Sorteada, e eu lembro, cara, como se fosse ontem. Lembro da sensação, lembro de como aquilo me prendeu. A partir dali, pronto, meu coração já era do Ben 10. Sempre que eu assistia, parecia que meus olhos brilhavam sozinho. Era uma animação diferente, uma energia diferente. Eu sentia como se eu tivesse descoberto alguma coisa especial, algo que realmente era meu. Depois disso, o Ben 10 virou parte da minha rotina. Eu assistia praticamente todos os dias, sem exagero, cara. Eu assistia no Cartoon Network, eu assistia no Bom Dia e Companhia, e quando não tava passando em nenhum canal, eu colocava no DVD. Ben 10 me acompanhava em todos os lugares. Eu assistia em casa, na escola, que tinha uma televisão lá na hora do intervalo, no trabalho da minha mãe, na casa da minha avó, e se tivesse uma tela ligada passando Ben 10, eu tava ali também. E não era só assistir, quando eu chegava da escola, eu ficava horas jogando os jogos de navegador, no site da Cartoon Network, no Clique Jogos, no Freevee, qualquer lugar que tivesse jogo de Ben 10 na época, eu também tava lá. Eu passava o dia inteiro nisso, completamente imerso, e quando eu não tava no computador, eu tava no Play 2. Tanto que eu tenho aqui os meus jogos de PlayStation 2 até hoje. Era como se eu quisesse viver aquilo de todas as formas possíveis. E aí vem uma das partes mais nostálgicas pra mim e de como eu criei esse canal também, que são os brinquedos. Eles demoraram um pouco pra chegarem no Brasil e eu lembro que eu sempre ficava caçando loja por loja, olhando vitrine por vitrine, torcendo pra encontrar alguma coisa do Ben 10. E nunca chegava, mas até que um dia finalmente chegou. E eu nunca vou me esquecer do meu primeiro brinquedo do Ben 10, porque quem me deu foi meu pai. Era um pack que vinha com o Ben, o Chama, o Diamante e o Quatro Braços. E mano, aquele Omnitrix era o mesmo dessa foto minha aí quando eu era criança e era algo incrível pra mim. Pode parecer simples, mas naquela época aquilo era como segurar um pedaço do desenho nas minhas mãos. Eu sentia parte daquele universo. Depois disso, a franquia explodiu de um jeito que quem viveu sabe. Ben 10 começou a aparecer em tudo. Teve brinquedo no McDonald's, teve nos ovos de Páscoa, tinha tênis, sandália, e eu nunca esqueço daquele comercial em que a sandália vinha com alterador de voz, que eu também tenho ele aqui, ó. Esse alterador de voz aqui.
Papete do Ben 10 apresenta A Grande Escapada.
Ajudante, liberte os prisioneiros agora!
Nova Papete do Ben 10 com Distorcetrix.
E aí, de verdade, parecia que Ben 10 tinha dominado o mundo, cara. Ele dominava as prateleiras de praticamente todas as lojas. E não era só brinquedo não, tá? Era roupa, era sapato, mochila, cortina, abajur, roupa de cama, revista. Era tudo que você imaginasse, cara. E eu tinha praticamente tudo. Era impossível você ir no centro da cidade e não ver alguma coisa de Ben 10 em algum lugar. E isso só aumentava o sentimento de que aquilo era algo gigante, de que aquilo fazia parte de uma geração inteira. E não parava por aí, tá? Tinha Ben 10 até nos alimentos. E isso, cara, é uma nostalgia absurda. Quem lembra aí daqueles refri skin? Mano, eu tomava aquilo o tempo todo na escola. Mas tinha miojo, tinha salgadinho, bolinho recheado. Parecia que tudo que eu gostava tinha Ben 10 junto, mano, até na hora de comer. Era como se a franquia tivesse invadido a minha vida inteira e eu aceitava isso com o maior sorriso do mundo, porque eu era apaixonado. Com o tempo eu fui conseguindo comprar alguns itens originais e um deles foi esse diamante aqui, mano. Ele tá até amarelado, tá todo zoado. Esse aqui foi meu primeiro boneco do Ben 10 original e eu tenho ele até hoje, mano. Não vendo por nada e vai ficar comigo até morrer. E depois de um tempo, meus pais me deram um dos meus maiores sonhos daquela época, que era o tão famoso Omnitrix Deluxe da Bandai, que eu também tenho ele bem aqui, ó. Esse aqui era o meu quando eu era criança, tá desgastado aqui nas pontas, aqui atrás não tem a tampinha de pilha, não sei se dá pra ver, mas enfim. Ele não funciona mais também porque eu andava com isso aqui pra cima e pra baixo, molhava, jogava areia, jogava tudo nesse Omnitrix aqui, então ele não funciona mais. E mano, quem viveu sabe o peso disso, isso aqui era um item lendário, era tipo, beleza, agora eu realmente virei o Ben 10. E teve outra fase também que me marcou muito, que era a época dos cards da escola. Quem levava aí pra escola sabe como era também. A gente trocava, colecionava, aquilo era uma febre. E quando eu não tava assistindo ou jogando Ben 10, eu tava no YouTube. E sim, eu sou da época das montagens completamente maluca, daqueles vídeos aleatórios, bem antigos do Ben 10, e também daquele chip antigo lá da Estela com o Ben, que a galera inventava do nada. Mas algo que eu assistia frequentemente eram os vídeos do Stun Carter, do canal Atamai. Ele mostrava bonecos do Omnitrix, feira de brinquedos, veículos, câmara de criação, e eu ficava horas vendo aquilo, e sem perceber eu tava alimentando uma paixão que eu carregaria pro resto da minha vida, que é colecionar Ben 10. Tanto que a minha coleção não tá exposta porque, mano, tá tão gigante que não tem espaço pra ela, literalmente. A minha coleção tá toda encaixotada, os bonecos abertos e também os bonecos lacrados. E o Stun Carter já entrevistou a Man of Action, que eu assisti esse vídeo na época, e cara, tem vídeo dele de 15 anos atrás falando sobre Ben 10, e recentemente ele postou alguns reviews também de miniaturas do Ben 10. E uma das coisas que mais me conectava com o Ben 10 era o clássico, porque no clássico eles viviam viajando pela estrada, e por conta do trabalho do meu pai, eu também estava sempre viajando, então eu olhava para aquilo e pensava, cara, isso aqui parece comigo. Era assim como aquele desenho tivesse sido escrito para encaixar na minha realidade, e isso me aproximava ainda mais do Ben, do Vomax, da Gwen, da ideia de família na estrada, vivendo aventuras e enfrentando problemas junto. E quando eu olho para tudo isso hoje, eu percebo que Ben 10 não foi só um desenho que eu gostei, foi algo que me formou, foi algo que fez parte da minha infância, do meu jeito de pensar, do que eu valorizo. Foi uma paixão que virou história, que virou trabalho e que virou um sonho realizado. E por isso eu só tenho a agradecer, porque Ben 10 mudou minha vida, mudou meu olhar, meu coração, minha história. E se hoje eu cheguei até aqui, se hoje eu tenho esse canal, essa comunidade, esse alcance de vocês, é porque lá atrás um garoto assistiu um episódio na casa da avó e se apaixonou por algo que jamais ia sair dele. Ben 10 se transformou em uma parte de mim e eu vou ser eternamente grato por isso.
Hey, my name is Darren Z. I'm the creator of the Celetrix Ben 10 AU and a few more Ben 10 illustrations that you may have seen on social media. To be completely honest, I have no idea when exactly I started watching Ben 10 for the first time. But the fact that my 9th birthday cake had Ben on it probably explains how much this show shaped my childhood and path as an artist. And where do I even start? The fluid animation, the frantic music that pumped you full of adrenaline, the action scenes where you could feel every hit, the character development, how they grew and learned from their mistakes. It was impossible not to get glued to the TV whenever Ben 10 was on. This show really inspired me in many ways. Every new episode meant a new full sketchbook page. I drew a little bit of anything, from Omnitrix designs both canon and made up, to Ben, Gwen, and Kevin at different ages, just like how I do my character evolutions nowadays. My ideas didn't stop at Omnitrix designs and character evolutions though. As a kid, I was obsessed with the alien designs. They had so many variations, shapes, and sizes, and that was something that blew my young mind a lot. Till this day, I still don't understand how a group of artists just sat down one day, grabbed a pencil, and brought all of those aliens to life. As a kid, I couldn't wrap my head around how someone could create something that original from scratch, from their brain to the screen. And that's part of what pushed me to not only modify their designs, but also create my own alien design. Sadly, the sketchbook where I had all those alien designs got lost, but I remember little me, hungry for ideas, going out into the garden one day and drawing every single animal or insect that I saw, then mixing them up with something something random until the final idea became an actual alien. And that idea as a concept sounds amazing, right? If I did it today, I'm very sure I'd get some interesting designs out of it. But back then, as a kid who didn't know the basics of drawing yet, I ended up creating some weird things, to say the least. I remember the first thing I combined was an elemental ant. And what did I mean by that? Well, imagine a giant ant with 4 arms, with each arm controlling a different element, whether it was fire, water, rock, or wind. And okay, like I said, the concept doesn't sound too bad, but the final design of said alien was kinda... It doesn't have a name, by the way. I used to have tons of sketchbooks, so I probably had dozens and dozens of these alien abominations. But even if they were ugly, I'm honestly proud of the work past me did. Who knows, maybe if I hadn't created that weird looking elemental ant, my art style today would look completely different from how it actually looks. So yeah, thank you, Ben 10, for inspiring me and my art skills. Speaking of inspiration, I'm pretty sure Ben 10 also shaped my current taste in music somehow. I'm a very drum and bass guy, and I remember the first time I heard the original Ben 10 intro. I was amazed. The background drums and the energy of the song made me want to find similar music. And that's just for the first intro, which always fills me with nostalgia. But the one that not only gives me nostalgia, but also hypes me up and always gives me an energy boost is the Alien Force intro. That one shaped my music taste completely. That rush of adrenaline mixed with the trombones and drums was the definition of epic. I was so in love with the intro that I started looking for similar songs. And even though I didn't find many too similar, I did develop a love for orchestral soundtrack. And that is something that I tried to show in my videos and animations, which I tried to fill with orchestral and epic sound themes. So thanks again, Ben 10, for inspiring my taste in music. As you all can see, it's obvious that Ben 10 had a huge influence on my development as an artist and as a person. But as the years went by and my imagination grew, I started developing ideas that slowly drifted away from the original concept of Ben 10, but without losing its core. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and aliens, is how my biggest current project was born, The Celotrix. The Celotrix is a Ben 10 webcomic created, written, and illustrated by me, also colored by Duck's art. And if he's listening to this part of the video, drop our Ben 10 Duck! The Celotrix is an AU, an alternate universe of Ben 10 where, unlike the original story where Ben, a 10-year-old kid, finds a watch that fell from space which sticks to his hand and turns him into 10 different alien species, here he's 13. There aren't any plumbers, there are exorcists now. Exorcists that protect people of Earth from anything that comes from hell. Grandpa Max is an exorcist in a world where angels and demons exist. Gwen's also here and has to deal with either pursuing the path of dark magic or becoming an exorcist like her grandpa. And the event that makes this whole story start in the first place is that the Omnitrix didn't fall from space at all. It came from hell. That's right. This time the Omnitrix is alive and it's actually a demon baby, which after seeing Ben as a meal tries to eat him. But Ben doesn't let himself get eaten, so he punches the creature. This stops the Celotrix's absorption process and makes it become a part of Ben now. Ben doesn't transform into aliens. He transforms into 7 different demon species, each representing one of the 7 deadly sins, and each with their own forms, sizes, abilities, and personalities. Even though these demons are extremely powerful, they're also very hard to control, because once they've been chosen, Ben has to convince each of them to let him use their bodies and start a non-stop mental battle over who gets control of who. And you're probably wondering, what does Celotrix even mean? Well, the name Celu comes from the Latin word celus, which means sin. I changed the first 2 letters to an X purely for marketing and because I think it's pretty cool that the name starts and ends with an X. And how did I come up with this idea? Dude, what if Ben 10's Omnitrix had demonic powers? What? You know how the Omnitrix fell from space, right? What if instead of falling from space, it came from hell? Well, that actually sounds pretty interesting. But it wouldn't make sense for something so technological to come from hell, right? Oh wait, what if the Omnitrix itself is a demon? That would make more sense for it to latch onto his arm because it wants to eat it. And if the Omnitrix is a demon, that means that the things inside of it wouldn't be aliens anymore. Exactly. And if we add a bit of biblical lore, instead of 10 aliens, we could make them 7 demons. You know why? The 7 deadly sins. Yup, That's how the idea got created. After that, I just started sketching the designs, posted them on social media, and finally on May 26th of 2024, I posted the first episode of the Celotrix. There are only 15 episodes so far, but this is just the beginning. There are so many things I want to tell through the Celotrix, and I want to thank my community and the Ben 10 community for appreciating all the love and work I've put into this project. And even if it drifts away from the original in terms of concept, I want the core to stay exactly as it's always been. I want it to still feel like Ben 10, even with all the differences. And don't worry about the project's length, because there's still so much more that the Celotrix has to offer. I really want to thank Men of Action for creating this series. It truly shaped me not only as an artist, but as a person too. And I am sure that if it weren't for Ben 10, I'd be a completely different person today.
Vamos lá, galera, Destiny Heroes é um projeto bem ambicioso e recentemente tivemos a oportunidade de entrevistar o Duncan Royal, o criador de todo o Ben 10. Foi uma honra para cada um de nós, para mim, para o Lukezinho, né, Tokai, que é o diretor do meu canal, né, e roteirista do canal do Luke, né, também o Viniverso, né, o Capeco, né, toda a nossa equipe. A gente ficou muito grato, né, gratidão e até surpresa também de imaginar, né, que nós que éramos simples criancinhas, né, assistindo Ben 10, tivemos a oportunidade de falar com aquele que criou o nosso desenho predileto, né. Isso foi uma sensação incrível e não tem preço. Fora que o Duncan Royal também apoia, né, todas as aulas de Ben 10 e até viu coisas de Destiny Heroes, né, o que é muito incrível. E Destiny Heroes também traz à tona esse sentimento assim de que, tipo, eu era só uma pessoa que assistia Ben 10 e agora eu tô participando de uma releitura de Ben 10 com elementos, né, do próprio Ben 10, mas também com coisas que eu e a minha equipe estamos elaborando, sabe? Então, assim, é muito bom. Ben 10 pra mim é infinito. Destiny Heroes é uma oportunidade de expandir esse sentimento, né, pra algo maior, entendeu? E assim, galera, o conceito do multiverso, no caso o CDT Verso, né, que é aí o multiverso, o universo de Destiny Heroes, inverte os conceitos, né, que a gente conhece, tipo, os Ultraversion Lights, né, eles são seres de luz, eles buscam fazer uma paz forçada, né, de uma forma assim que eles acham que é justo, né, mas que acaba tirando o livre-arbítrio de outros seres. E esses são aí os grandes vilões de Destiny Heroes. O projeto assim, ele faz parte do CDT Verso, né, que é um multiverso, né, que abrange várias cópias de AUs, né, assim como elementos não só de Ben 10, mas também, por exemplo, de Dragon Ball, de Naruto, né, sendo como o Hax, né, a energia que abrange esse multiverso, né, a energia vital aí, como Dragon Ball tem Ki, Naruto tem Chakra, né, aqui no CDT Verso temos o Hax. E agora falando sobre os protagonistas e também anti-heróis, a gente começa falando sobre o Ed Blaze, que é nada mais nada menos que um caçador de magos, né? Ele tem um Omnitrix no óculos, né? Tem 25 anos, e ele é um químico, estrategista, né? Com o objetivo aí de erradicar a magia, né? Os magos. O próximo aqui é o Leandro, ou Leandro Viana, né? Caso ele seria considerado aí o herói dos heróis, e ele é um personagem já mais velho, né, assim de 50 anos, que apesar de perder a sua família, ele não perdeu o otimismo, né, e o seu Omnitrix, ele cobre praticamente o braço dele todo. Também temos aí o Tavin, que ele é um ser mais diferenciado, ultra poderoso, que a gente poderia chamar de Chronolocker, né? Ele existe ao mesmo tempo, simultaneamente, em todo o tempo passado, presente e futuro, ao mesmo tempo, entendeu? E ele também tem as suas transformações, só que ele acessa através de um ser chamado Radin, né, que ele é como se fosse um celular alienígena que acaba administrando, né, as suas transformações alienígenas, meio que por via aplicativo, vamos dizer assim. E aí temos o Daniel 15, que é o protagonista, né, ele meio que criou todo o conceito da alteração de Matrix, né, que é abordado aí no Destiny Heroes através de uma forma divina que ele alcançou. Ele é meio humano e meio anodita, né, e após toda essa conturbação que ele acabou fazendo sem querer, né, de alterar a Matrix, ele acaba tendo que se adaptar a viver nesse novo universo que ele criou, né, junto da sua namorada Zell. Também temos aí o Suck, que ele é um tetramando que ele atingiu aí uma forma divina, e o seu objetivo, assim, ele atua como um anti-herói, entendeu? Né? E ele procura estar assim buscando pagar por por pecados cometidos no passado, né? Indo para os vilões e ameaças, temos aí o Agano, que seria o vilão dos vilões. Ele é um humano impiedoso, né, que odeia extraterrestres, manipula o Hax, busca pelo poder multiversal. Temos também seus capangas, que um deles é o Carne Seca, que ele é um híbrido sociopata de Zoniano com Ectonurite, e o outro é o Beterraba, né? Ele é um metamorfo, capacho do Agano, né? E ele comumente ele se transforma na espécie do predador, né? Mesmo podendo se transformar em várias outras coisas, a forma principal dele é essa forma aí que é da espécie do predador. Também temos reinterpretações, né? Tipo, versões novas, nossas, né? Mas de personagens que já conhecemos, que já existem na série, como por exemplo o Dr. Paradoxo, né? Uma reinterpretação do Professor Paradoxo que conhecemos na série original. Também temos aí novas formas e alienígenas novos também, né? A AU, ela introduz conceitos que superam aí as formas supremas, né? Como por exemplo, as formas ultra supremas, né? Elas são formas que literalmente, né, são mais poderosas ainda do que as formas supremas, né? Uma evolução de mais anos de evolução, e que usa ali o gene splice, né? Que é, de uma maneira resumida, é uma mistura de DNA, né, para corrigir certas falhas. Também temos as formas primordiais, que são formas que misturam passado com o futuro do Alien através do Hax. Também temos os UVD, Ultraversion Dark, né, que são formas sombrias, né, que misturam aí a energia vital mais poderosa de todos, né, que é o Hax, mas também misturado com a energia do ego, né, por isso que torna algo assim mais sombrio e do mal. E temos o oposto, né, que são os Ultraversion Lights, né, que é o mesmo conceito, né, usa aí o Hax, né, a energia mais poderosa do multiverso aí de Destiny Heroes, porém misturado com a energia do bem, são seres de luz. Além de ter novos áreas, né, como o Joker, né, que é um personagem com Toon Force, né, que é um palhaço doidão, bitolado das ideias que quebra a quarta parede. Também temos o Dan Kong, que é um macacão, assim, um gorilão, que tem poder de geocinese. O Cadabra, né, que é uma espécie divina também, semelhante ao Alien X, né, que pode manipular energia cósmica e tudo mais, manipular a realidade. O Mega Hells, que é um tipo de torcusta elástico, né, mais ou menos assim. E o Zartet, né, que é um personagem que ele é como se fosse um Petrosapiens, né, uma espécie de diamante, só que ele é feito de tadenita branca, indestrutível. E também, né, galera, se vocês quiserem saber mais de outras formas que existem em Destiny Heroes, né, que fazem parte aí do canon dessa AU, também temos os aliens da vida, né, que eu já fiz um vídeo sobre eles. Se vocês quiserem saber mais informações, clica aí no card.
Everyone around me can tell you just how vital Ben 10 is to my life. Whether it be my parents who have to deal with my obsession with it as a kid, or my friends today who still have to deal with that obsession. During my childhood, I lived and breathed this show. I watched the show for hours on end when it was airing. Every store trip I would walk out with the new Ben 10 toy. For my 10th birthday, I got a Ben 10 themed birthday cake with tasty green frosting that I remember to this day. I even had my mom buy me cargo pants and Ben's iconic t-shirts so I could run around the house imagining I was Ben 10. Leading to now, where I've been able to build an online presence just by expressing how much I love this show. It started as me just tweeting about it during 2020 in some tweets that were definitely me trying to engagement bait, to then me acting on the urge I had to create a YouTube channel that's now based 95% around Ben 10. Plain and simple, I love Ben 10. The show's unique identity was unlike anything else that was airing at the time, and it hooked me and never let me go. Like seriously, I know my family believed this show had like possessed, which I mean rightfully so. I used to rob mother roar in my mom's face, like there was definitely something wrong with me. Now in my defense, the show had tons of kick-ass high-octane action scenes. Those high-octane action scenes, whether it was Forms and Kevin running the ones on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, or Swampfire pushing over an entire hybrid weather tower, as a kid, you were just getting handed top-tier dopamine every single week. Diamond Head coming back in Vengeance of Vilgax is a core memory that I will see as I take my last breath when it's time for me to leave this planet. I paid barely any attention to anything in the show that didn't give me that high dopamine rush, because this series was just on another level when it came to pumping out iconic moments in action. Like we all had that moment where we were heavily anticipating our favorite alien to show up and kick ass, or would get upset when Ben went lame ass Humongousaur accidentally got Grey Matter instead. However, as I've aged up along the years, I began to value a lot of what Ben 10 did outside of just his action, like the idea of a mistransformation here and there, or most importantly, the stories the show told. I get a little emotional every time I rewatch Grandpa Max's self-sacrifice and Max Out. I've come to appreciate and love Gwen and her development as a character, and I relate to Ben being angry at his younger self in the Showdown Part 1 and Part 2 episode, the same way I genuinely get moved to tears watching him forgive his 11-year-old self in said episodes. The emotion displayed in every single iteration of the franchise is how it's become just a show I loved as a kid, to it now being a show that's become very personal to me. And that strong personal connection I have with the show is something that I've took when making my recent fan comic, Absolute Ben 10. Absolute Ben 10 is my fan comic I started working on a few months ago alongside popular artist Dux, the creator of Ben 10 Delta, and who's in this same video. The inspiration for it, as you may notice, came from DC's newest line of comics that I'm sure you've heard of thanks to the insane run that Absolute Batman is on. Together, me and Dux have brought Absolute Ben 10 to life, and so far it's surpassed any expectations I had for it when it was in production. Together, we brought Absolute Ben 10 to life with me behind on the writer's chair crafting up all the little cool ideas, and with him heavily during the illustrations. And ever since we've been working on it and showing the people, the support I've gotten has surpassed anything I ever imagined it getting. I never thought my project would garner this much support, but it's made me super proud of the project in just a short time. Like, I never expected tons of people would actually like it. Like, it's insane to me still. My goal for Absolute Ben 10 is to deliver something cool and fun for the fans to read, but while also delivering a story full of heart and something that still stays faithful to the core of what Ben 10 is. Ben 10 to me has always kept the central theme of family in every series, and it's the part of my fan comic that I want to stick out to readers. Removing Max in my story is a big change that, yes, I know Ben 23 also did. However, even though Max is gone and essentially absent from my story, I still make it a goal to have his presence felt in said story, the very same way it was felt in this series. I mean, I can't be the only one who wished Max was their grandpa. He was dropping some incredible words of wisdom that left a huge impact on me. Due to Max's passing in my story, it weighs heavily on Ben as you think it would, but it's those words and attitude that I got from Max in the show that I take to help my Ben eventually grow into the hero he's supposed to be. The theme of overcoming great trauma and challenges is something that I want to represent Absolute Ben 10. Because it's what Ben 10 helped me do. Growing up, this show gave me comfort and helped me through tons of hard times, and it still does, as the Ben 10 community is one of the few communities I've been in that feels like a family. I've met tons of energetic and talented fans that I've talked hours with just about how much we love the show. I've collabed with tons of creators big and small who emit a ray of kindness and passion for the show similar as I do. The community itself has shown me tons of love as a creator in the field. Love that I never thought I would ever get. So I owe everybody who supports me and my videos and just anything I do a million thank yous and fist bumps and hugs and just so much love. I appreciate y'all so much. It's one of the few things that's always been there for me as long as I've had consciousness in this world, and has given me many memories I hold near and dear to my heart. I am over the moon excited for the upcoming Ben 10 comic that's supposed to be coming next year, because I feel like a Ben 10 comic run is like long overdue. I mean, the show already takes so much inspiration from the world of comic books already, so you know, it's a match made in heaven. My excitement for it got even bigger when I found out that the creators of Ben 10 Men of Action are the ones who are working on the entire thing, which is cool because, you know, not only have to worry about Cartoon Network meddling in all their business, talking about do this, do that. No, they get to make the story that they want to make. So extremely excited for that. Who knows? Maybe if the comic does well, it can lead to a future show or movie or something. But to be honest, whether we get a new show or movie or whatever, or we don't, the same way the show has supported me throughout my entire life, I'll always be here to sing the show's praises, whether it's in its darkest moments or its brightest moments, as it's just the least that I can do.
The original Ben 10 series premiered around the same time I was born. This franchise existed almost as long as I have existed, so Ben 10 has always been a part of my life. I grew up watching the series, begging my mom to buy me Alien toys. I still remember my first watch as an Ultimatrix. But after Omniverse was over, I kinda lost track of the franchise as a whole. School had me really busy. It was like that for years until one day an interesting video appeared on my YouTube feed, giving classic Aliens Ultimate Forms by the Ink Tank with O.R. Ash. Upon watching, my flame was reignited. I fell in love with the Ben 10 franchise again. I started watching all the channel videos, all the way down to the Ben 10 Can Beat Anyone. We had HBO Max back then, so I watched all of the series again, Classic, Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, Omniverse, and even the reboot. The happiest day of the week for me was when they uploaded a new Ben 10 breakdown. Back when I was a kid, I never really met anyone as obsessed with Ben 10 as me. So finding out a whole channel of talented artists creating almost exclusively Ben 10 content, including episode analysis, a series exploring alien worlds, creating never-seen ultimates, and much more, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. As I started watching lots of Ben 10 content again, my TikTok feed was also showing me Ben 10 videos from time to time. But around the end of 2023, I started hearing about this AU called the Carnatrix, an alternate universe where Ben's aliens were monstrous creatures that had control over him instead of the other way around. Pretty neat, I thought, but as always, the internet is full of kids who love terror. So in every Ben 10 related video, they started leaving comments about the Carnatrix, using skull emojis, hyping it up as this powerful watch stronger than the Omnitrix. The creator of the AU was aware of this and had to clarify the Carnatrix aliens are weaker than the originals. But this didn't stop edgy kids from saying they'd rather have the Carnatrix than the Omnitrix. These types of comments started getting mocked by other users by making different combinations of names that ended with trix. Using the mean slang from that era, they made up joke names like the Chambatrix or the Chakatrix. When I came across this type of funny comment scrolling on TikTok, I had a thought, how would a Chakatrix even work? That funny thought evolved in my head as a more solid concept. The idea was kinda interesting, and I thought it would be hilarious if someone actually created an AU based off of these joke names. So the night of New Year, I found myself drawing a female version of Heat Blast after also drawing a pink Omnitrix with heart symbols. That night, I created a new account to post this one-time joke. I was going to create an alternative Omnitrix, and I had one of my biggest inspirations, Kuro the Artist, in mind. So I called myself Trix the Alien. When drawing the first ever Chakatrix comic to present the AU, I didn't think much of it. Okay, I have the first alien Heat Blast as an Omnitrix design. I'll just draw the OG Ben activating the watch for the first time. So I did, and uploaded it to TikTok. On January 1st, my phone was full with notifications. The Chakatrix was doing well on TikTok, so I thought to myself, might as well post it on Twitter too. And it really did well in both. It did too well. A couple of days passed before I even got to draw the third alien. Social media was filled with fan art. The numbers keep increasing, weeks went by, it was not stopping. The combined popularity of the Chakatrix, along with its successor, the Carnatrix, was such that Ben 10 was trending. The fandom became active again, at least on the Hispanic side of the community. People were saying I revived the fandom. I started casually talking with artists I saw unreachable before. Almost had a heart attack when Duncan Rouleau, co-creator of Ben 10 himself, commented on one of my drawings. Months went by and hundreds of other artists felt inspired to create and share their own AUs. I got to know many talented artists, but my drawing pace didn't match my popularity. My job didn't leave me much time to draw things for the AU. And the other kinds of people drew lots and lots of comics from their own version of the AU using its name. Comics that were not only inaccurate, but negatively impacted the AU's image. It got to a point people were mad at me for comics made by people completely unrelated to me. I had to do something. So, using the help from the talented artists I met a team of artists who wanted to help me bring to life the actual story from the AU in a comic format. Like that, the Chakatrix comic team was born. So we got to work. It was difficult at the beginning, we had no previous experience, and many miscommunications led to many delays. It was not easy during the first two comics, but after that, we managed to create an efficient system where every artist can contribute to the comic in their strong area. By the time we got to Comic 4, we recruited a whole second team of artists who were going to work at the same time as the first team. With interspersed schedules, we started producing comics almost monthly. And like that, the story I wanted to tell was brought to life with the help of many talented artists from the Ben 10 community. After almost 5 months, the AU stopped being as popular as it was, but as long as we keep the comic going, I have high hopes of creating enough good content for the fans to enjoy and outnumber the amount of negative comics out there spreading misinformation about my AU. Now, talking about the AU itself, what is it about? Why is it so controversial? Well, Ben 10 Chakatrix is an AU where instead of transforming in aliens, the watch lets Ben summon alien-human hybrid girls with a Sailor Moon-like sequence. Each of the aliens have a unique personality, but no memories nor any idea of their original purpose. So, in his innocence, Ben leads them to be a superhero team. That's the premise. But what got people really interested in the AU is the implications. Moments like the death of Feedback or the death of Chromastone gain much more impact as Ben's not losing a part of himself in the AU, he's literally losing a friend. What makes his AU unique is the fact that the aliens are not a new superpower Ben acquires. Each of them is a brand new character with a different personality, and these personalities causes the timeline to change. For example, Heartblast is a clumsy girl who's not as skilled Ben was with Heat Blast. Grey Matter is an arrogant genius who doesn't want to be a part of the superhero shenanigans. So does Ghost Lady, but she is different, since she retains the consciousness from Zeskare that lives within every strand of Ectonuri DNA, making her aware since the first summoning. The aliens are not the only ones that changed the story. Since I don't want this to just be a copy and paste of the original, I took my liberties. For example, Dr. Animo gets replaced by his daughter, Lucy Animo, that took the role after his mysterious disappearance. Vilgax's whole backstory has completely changed, and now he has more of a royal background. Also, he's got a brother. Remember when we thought the Limax were gonna come back but never did? In this AU, Ben accidentally scans and summons a Limax girl who gets trapped within the Limax hive mind and now wants answers about her origins. Remember when Ben offered Kevin to join the team? Well, he did join in this universe. These and other characters get changed around to create a much more fun and original story. The more we advance, the more the timeline will change, and trust me, we have big plans for the future. So if I caught your attention, you can check out the comic. Season 1 is completed, and Season 2 is on the way. You can find the comic on Twitter, Webtoon, DeviantArt, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Patreon in 3 official translations: English, Spanish, and Portuguese. If you do give it a chance, thank you so much. I am perfectly aware the story could be mistaken with a harem fantasy story, especially with all of the misleading fan art and fan comics out there. But talking from experience, people seem to really enjoy once they read the real thing for themselves. I can tell you, my intent is to create a good story with fun alien adventures and memorable story arcs and characters like the original Ben 10. This fandom has given me the chance to meet so many talented people and live such wonderful experiences. I'd like to return the favor by giving you another fun alternative Ben 10 story to read from all the ones this community has to offer. Hi, hello, hi. It's truly an honor to be here. Some of you know me, some of you might not. For those that don't, my name's Val. Oh boy, I have so many things to say, but let's start where it all began, 2007. It's the year I was born, and the same year the original series premiered here where I live. So yeah, I've been a Ben 10 fan as long as I can remember. I grew up watching the episodes, drawing the characters, and asking my mom to buy me stuff related to the franchise. I remember I was convinced my Omnitrix actually worked and that I had superpowers. Good times. As years went by, my love for the franchise never disappeared, but I also started to have other interests, and I was always looking for new stuff. That's how I ended up finding All Tomorrows, a work of science fiction and speculative evolution, and I loved it. Speculative evolution became one of my interests, and as I started to read a lot of works and projects people made, an idea came to my mind. What if I drew the aliens of Ben 10 using speculative evolution? My first ever attempts were not that good. I was young and I knew nothing about biology, and I was just trying to copy the cool creatures I saw in those works. But I was still proud of what I made. I didn't do much with the idea after that and just moved on with my life. Jumping forward to 2023, I was scrolling on TikTok when I found something that caught my eye, a horror Steven Universe AU. It was really cool and became popular in and out of TikTok. As days went on, I kept finding more and more Steven Universe AUs. It became a little trend due to the popularity of the first one, and I wanted to try it, but not with Steven Universe. I wanted to do it with Ben 10 instead, bringing back that old idea I had. I started to work on the designs and I posted the first video about it to TikTok. It became my most watched. I was really happy and excited, so I made a second video. I discarded the idea of making it fully a horror AU, instead making it a retelling of the show with a bit of horror using the appearance of the aliens and the implication the story of Ben 10 can have on a more realistic setting. With this new vision, I wanted to make it a comic, so I started to work on the first 3 pages. They took a whole week to complete, and during that week, the Carnatrix appeared, gaining popularity in just mere days. I admit, I was a bit jealous, but I kept working on my AU, hoping that it would be as popular as the Carnatrix. Once my pages were finished, I posted them and waited, and waited, and waited. The new Ben 10 AUs kept appearing, gaining popularity in days while my AU was left behind. I couldn't help but feel like I was doing something wrong. I tried to ignore it and just kept working, but as I did, all the other AUs kept increasing in popularity. People everywhere were talking about them. making songs, animations, comics, all of that while my hard work was barely acknowledged. I admired all those AU creators, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel like I was nothing compared to them. I lost motivation soon enough, and I stopped uploading, abandoning my AU the same year. But in 2024, I saw the Chakatrix comic, and somehow it reignited my desire to make my AU a comic. I didn't care about the popularity anymore. I accepted the fact that I would never equal what the Carnatrix or the Chakatrix accomplished, but it didn't matter. I just wanted to tell the story I had in mind all those months ago. And I was going to tell the story, so whoever found it could enjoy it. I created my Twitter account to reach more people, and started to post stuff again. Designs, lore, a few doodles, and finally, the official comic in September of 2024. It blew up. I was surprised to see how the numbers kept getting bigger, and that was all I needed to feel like I finally was someone. Now, at the date I'm writing this, we're almost finishing 2025. And I keep posting, not that regularly though. Making a comic all by myself is hard and I get exhausted a lot. It's been more than a year and I still haven't finished episode 1, but I still keep going. And I don't plan on stopping, no matter what. I made a lot of friends, including people I used to admire, and all of my hard work led me to being here now. It's all I could have ever asked for. But enough of my story. You're here to learn about AUs. What is Ben 10 Astrophobia? Well, as I said earlier, it's a retelling of the Ben 10 series, using speculative evolution and a bit of horror to give the story my own spin, without changing the events too much. The aliens are redesigned to look like true aliens, life forms that surged on completely different planets. They aren't humanoids, some of them can't even talk, and, most importantly, they are not superheroes. Ben can control some just fine, but others mess up with his brain and rational thinking. It all depends on how strange the morphology of the chosen alien is. By example, when he first turned into an alien, Hellblast, he hunted down a deer and ate it like a wild animal. In this version of the story, Ben has to learn how to be a hero, control his instincts, and help others, doing good while dealing with the horrors that outer space hides. Ben 10 in this AU is far less egocentric and selfish than his prime counterpart. He's a really nice kid who worries about those around him, being this the reason why, despite fearing his alien forms, he chooses to transform anyways to help others. He's also a lot closer to Gwen, worrying a lot for her well-being after accidentally burning her arm. And, speaking of Gwen, she's very different in this AU. She's a friendly, cheerful, and quite silly girl who loves her family. She's still very intelligent, but also pretty easy to scare, paralyzing out of fear. She is very concerned about Ben and tries to be there for him when he's not doing well. And we can't forget about Max. Honestly, he isn't too different from his prime counterpart, an easygoing, kind, and jovial man who hides his past as a plumber, though he actually hides it here. Instead of calling Ben an alien, he just says, "I don't know," when Gwen asked if Ben was going to stay a monster forever. He uses his time as fire lieutenant and pilot in the Air Force to justify his medals and the fact he's missing part of his hand. In reality, Vilgax is the one who ripped off part of his hand. I also made designs for the aliens, Dr. Animo, Ben's parents, and Kevin, along with a family tree for my AU's Tennysons. You can find all of that on my Twitter account, along with the official comic if you'd like to read it. I don't really have much else to say. I hope we can all see each other again soon. Thank you to all the people who allowed me to be here. And thanks to you, the viewer, for listening to me. Bye-bye! When I think about the things that shaped my childhood and how certain stories influence the way I see the world, I inevitably go back to Ben 10. Not because it was the most popular show at the time, or because all my friends watched it, but because, for me, it represented a unique combination of adventure, imagination, personal growth, and the feeling that anyone, even an ordinary kid, could become something greater. Over the years, the series wasn't just entertainment. It became a kind of emotional compass, a reference point during key moments of my life, and a persistent link between my childhood dreams and the person I am today. I remember perfectly the first time I saw the Omnitrix on screen. It wasn't just a watch that let you transform into incredible aliens. It represented the idea that something extraordinary could happen to someone completely ordinary. Ben was a troublesome kid, sometimes impulsive, sometimes even selfish, but he had a good heart. And it was precisely that imperfect humanity, that made him so relatable. He wasn't a hero designed to be perfect. He was a kid learning what it meant to have power, responsibility, and the chance to change the world. Step by step, making mistakes, growing, trying again. That narrative impacted me deeply, even when I was little. Back then, I don't know why it drew me in so much. I thought it was the monsters, the colors, the action. But over time I realized that the essence of Ben 10 went far beyond its alien transformations. What captivated me was Ben's journey, the building of his character, the way he handled personal problems and heroic duties while still being, at his core, a kid trying to grow up. Maybe that's why I identified with him so much. I also felt like I was growing faster than I could understand, that there were decisions I didn't know how to make, that sometimes I wanted to do the right thing but had no idea how. As I grew older, Ben 10 stopped being just a cartoon. It became a marker in time. Each of its versions, Ben 10, Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, Omniverse, arrived during different stages of my life, almost as if they had been accompanying me, reflecting my own internal changes. The first series was pure magic for me. It represented freedom, adventure, discovery. It was the time when I too felt full of infinite possibilities. When Ben discovered a new alien, I lived the excitement as if I were seeing everything for the first time. It was that stage where you look at the world with the certainty that there's still so much left to explore. Something especially meaningful about that time was how Ben 10 pushed me to imagine. I drew my own aliens, made up stories, created cardboard versions of the Omnitrix, and although it might seem small, I think that spark of creativity influenced me a lot in the person I became. It taught me that I could create worlds, characters, concepts, that I could imagine beyond what I saw. That ability, that creative impulse, stayed. With Alien Force, the show grew, and I did too. Ben was no longer that impulsive kid, but a teenager who had to face more serious threats. His world became darker, more complex, morally gray, and I, entertaining my own adolescence, felt that the show was speaking directly to the changes I was going through. What marked me the most was seeing Ben make difficult decisions without being fully prepared. Sometimes he had to act without support, without knowing all the answers. That feeling of navigating new territory without a guide was exactly what I experienced during those years. Ben's actions were no longer driven only by a desire for adventure, but by responsibility, justice, and empathy. It taught me that growing up also means carrying things you didn't understand before, but facing them anyways. This stage symbolized the weight of external expectations for me. Ben was now famous, recognized, admired, and criticized. He had the pleasure of being a hero even when he didn't want to be. And I, in my own life, began to feel for the first time the weight of family, social, and school expectations. Ultimate Alien taught me something about the frustration of being seen as something you sometimes don't feel you really are. But it also taught me something about identity, that each person has multiple versions of themselves, and sometimes we have to learn to balance them. Ben has dozens of aliens, each representing different abilities, personalities, strengths. I started seeing that metaphor in myself too. I also had different forms I used depending on the context. Different sides I had to learn to master and accept. Many fans criticized Omniverse when it came out because it's a different art style and lighter humor, but surprisingly, for me, it ended up being one of the most important stages. The series embraced change, visual diversity, and narrative experimentation. And I, at the same moment in my life, was also learning to accept change. Omniverse taught me that if people around you don't understand your evolution, it doesn't mean it's wrong. That growing means transforming, and that you won't always fit into other people's expectations. It gave me the sense that it's okay to be different, to change your style, your path, who you were, to become someone more authentic. Time passed and I grew, but Ben 10 never stopped being part of me, not as an obsession, but as a fragment of identity, something that shaped the way I think, imagine, and face challenges. Now, as an adult, the franchise represents emotional refuge, a symbol of consistency amid the chaos of life and a source of creativity. Ben 10 wasn't just a show I watched as a kid, it was a silent companion through my changes, a model of growth, a source of creativity, and a consistent reminder that even ordinary people can have an extraordinary impact. It's an inseparable part of my life, my identity, and my dreams. And now, as an adult, I don't expect the franchise to return to exactly what it was. I hope it evolves, matures with us, reaches a new level of depth and ambition and creativity, that it keeps its essence, a normal kid with extraordinary power, but explores new frontiers, new stories, new horizons. I want Ben 10 to inspire future generations the way it inspired me. But I also want it to bring back to those of us who grew up with it that feeling of wonder, excitement, and discovery when we felt the first time we saw the Omnitrix glow on screen. Because at the end of the day, Ben 10 isn't just a show, it's a symbol, a reminder that we all carry something special inside, something that can transform, evolve, and if we allow it, change the world. Another thing I always valued is that Ben 10 showed me that even heroes feel fear, doubts, and conflict. Seeing Ben make mistakes, regret them, learn, and keep going helped me understand that making mistakes doesn't make you less valuable, that errors don't take away your chance to try again. I think that many times in my real life, I remembered scenes where he had to make a tough decision, and it gave me a strange kind of comfort. If he could face giant threats while feeling insecure, then I could face my own problems, even if they were much smaller. Ben 10 was also, in a way, the beginning of my love for science fiction and concepts like alternative worlds, alien species, advanced technology, scientific ethics, multiverses, genetics, intergalactic morality, and a philosophy about power. It opened doors to other genres, other universes, new interests. Without it, maybe I wouldn't have developed the imagination I have today, or my inclination to create my own stories. There are small things I still love. The sound of the Omnitrix activating, the first transformations, the fights against classic villains, the intro music, Ben and Gwen's jokes, the silly arguments with Kevin, the vibe of each season. These are details anyone might see as minor, but to me, they represent happy, simple, uncomplicated moments. I also like that every time I watch an old episode, I feel like I go back a little to those times when everything was easier. Not because I want to live in the past, but because it's nice to remember that there were things I enjoyed without thinking too much. There's something special about having a series that accompanied you since childhood, and is still there whenever you want to revisit it. It's like a small collection of memories stored in episodes. Thinking about the future of the franchise, I have that simple fan-like hope. I want to see more aliens, more new transformations, more amazing fights, more stories with Ben, Gwen, and Kevin. Something that captures the essence so many of us enjoyed. Action, creativity, and that touch of humor that always characterized the show. I don't need it to be perfect or revolutionary. I just want to keep that spirit that makes it so entertaining. In the end, Ben 10 is that for me. A mix of nostalgia, entertainment, and affection for a show that accompanied me through different stages. Nothing more complicated, nothing too deep. Just a nice part of my life that I still remember with a smile. I also like that, unlike other shows that age poorly, Ben 10 still feels fresh in many ways. The alien designs are still striking, the episode ideas are still fun, and the character dynamics still work. Even when I watch old episodes, I don't feel like they're boring. On the contrary, I'm surprised how well they've aged. This makes me rewatch them without needing to justify it. I also like thinking about what could come next. New seasons, reboots, animated movies, or even better video games. Honestly, I don't ask for anything extremely complex. I just want them to keep expanding the universe, keep introducing new aliens with crazy ideas, and keep that sense of adventure the series always had. As long as they respect that essence, I'll be happy. At the end of the day, Ben 10 became one of those things that naturally became part of my life. It's not something I think about all the time or something huge in my daily life, but when it shows up, it brings back good memories and gives me that mix of nostalgia and fun that few shows manage to create. And I think that's what I value the most, that without being something overly deep, it still has a special place in me. I can say it's interesting that throughout the years, the series managed to stay present in some way. Even with new seasons or style changes, it remains recognizable. Sometimes I see it as a good example of how something can adapt to time without losing its identity. And although each version has its own traits, the main elements are always there. The Omnitrix, the transformations, the adventures, the humor. That's what keeps me hooked. Personally, I also really enjoy the visual side of the series. You don't need to analyze anything deeply to appreciate the striking designs, the vibrant colors, and how each transformation has its own style. I think that even when I was a kid, the aesthetic was part of the reason it captivated me so much. To this day, I still think it's a show that looks great, that has personality, and doesn't get confused with any other. In short, Ben 10 is still that simple, comfortable space that I can always return to. I don't need to analyze it or think too much to enjoy it. It's a part of my life that represents fun, nice memories, and calm moments. And as long as the franchise stays alive, even just a little, I'll be there to watch it.
Então agora, rapaziada, eu vou mostrar aqui pra vocês duas AUs que são incríveis e são brasileiras. Eu estou falando de OmniAges e OmniSides. Então, começando com OmniAges, essa AU é uma reimaginação de Sus, criador já conhecido pelas colaborações no canal do Daniel. A proposta aqui é equilibrar a nostalgia clássica com uma narrativa de déjà vu. Personagens novos que invocam sentimentos familiares e figuras antigas que trazem frescor sem perder a sua essência. O diferencial de OmniAges é o realismo. O autor optou por evitar evitar o Power Creep, o crescimento descontrolado de poderes que torna os personagens invencíveis, mantendo a escala de poder equilibrada e tática. Mas o que é Power Creep? E bom, é quando novos elementos de uma história, personagens ou habilidades tornam os anteriores obsoletos por serem excessivamente fortes, quebrando o equilíbrio. Isso pode ser ruim ou bom, depende da obra, e Ben 10 tem isso e mesmo assim é muito bom. A linha do tempo de Omni Ages é diferente, a história se passa em uma realidade alternativa muito similar à do Ben Prime, mas que sofreu um efeito borboleta drástico. Uma criança humana surgiu em Galvan Prime e foi adotada por Azimuth, enquanto o lendário Ben Tennyson desapareceu sem deixar rastros. Os protagonistas são Z, o herdeiro relutante. Filho adotivo de Azimuth, o Z carregou o peso de herdar o Omnitrix e o legado de Ben. Contudo, em um mundo de vilões cada vez mais cruéis, o Z sucumbiu ao ódio. Após uma campanha violenta contra os últimos Cavaleiros Eternos, ele forjou a própria morte para que o Azimuth se lembrasse dele como um herói, e não como um vigilante brutal em que se tornou. Hoje Z vive anonimamente no Brasil, trabalhando como carregador de material de construção, o legítimo CLT. E nisso ele está tentando enterrar seu passado, mas o ressurgimento dos Cavaleiros Eternos o força a colocar o relógio novamente e enfrentar seus fantasmas. Geralmente o Z é lento e apagado, mas revela uma inteligência tática brilhante sob pressão. Também tem o Multitrix, uma versão finalizada e aprimorada pelo próprio Z do Omnitrix de Omniverse. Possui Multi, uma IA sarcástica e direta que não hesita em criticar os erros do seu portador. Também temos o Spyware. Nessa timeline, a presença do Z impediu que o malware enlouquecesse totalmente. O Azimuth conseguiu curá-lo, mas o subproduto do processo fundiu-se a Z, gerando o Spyware, uma forma de vida híbrida, metade humana, metade mecamorfo galvânico. Como habilidades, ela tem os poderes de absorção de malware, mas em escala menor e mais controlada. É uma gênia técnica, muitas vezes superando o Z em intelecto puro. A mesma é o tanto rebelde e sentimental, ela ajudou o Z a fugir para a Terra para escaparem do olhar vigilante do Azimuth. Também temos Kyle, encontrado por Spyware nos lixões da Cidade de Baixo. Kyle é um ciborgue que vê a híbrida como uma irmã mais velha. Quase totalmente mudo, expressa-se através de gestos exagerados e muita emoção. Apesar da natureza doce, carrega um arsenal pesado de armas de energia integradas ao seu corpo. Omni Ages tem um foco no treino, na adaptação e em ser perseverante. Z estuda a biologia de seus aliens e usa a tecnologia para potencializá-los. Isso fica muito claro na fanfic e ficará mais claro no futuro da comic. Então agora vamos ver os designs que melhor exemplificam isso. Temos o Quatro Braços e bom, ele utiliza braceletes especiais para gerar construtos de energia e equipamentos de combate. Também temos o NRG e ele possui uma armadura funcional e realista, desenhada para conter a radiação de forma segura, corrigindo as falhas no design original. Também temos o Acelerado e bom, através de treino físico, ele aprendeu a canalizar a energia cinética acumulada para amplificar seus golpes, lembrando técnicas de mestres de artes marciais. Todos os alienígenas oficiais da franquia estão presentes em Omni Ages. Além deles, a EU apresenta criações originais, como o desajeitado Slime e o explosivo Killer K. Omni Ages é a prova do que um fã dedicado pode criar ao olhar para uma franquia amada com novos olhos, respeitando o passado, mas construindo o futuro próprio. Agora entrando em Ben 10 Omnisides, feita por Zero, se trata da Dimensão 100, e sim, ela seria uma dimensão alternativa, mais especificamente a 100ª. A premissa é reinventar o universo de Ben 10 a partir de um ponto de divergência crucial no final de Força Alienígena. Nessa realidade, os sacrifícios e escolhas do Albedo e do Ben moldam um novo destino para o multiverso, onde o altruísmo e a tecnologia estável caminham lado a lado. Diferente da linha do tempo original, ao libertar o Albedo em a batalha final, o Galvaniano revelou aqui já conhecer o código de autodestruição do Omnitrix. Em um ato de desespero para recuperar sua forma original, ele aceita dar o Suprematrix ao Ben em troca dos restos do relógio explodido. E aqui o Super Omnitrix, na verdade, se chama Suprematrix. O Albedo reconstrói o dispositivo como Galvitrix, uma versão precária e orgânica que, além de falhar em restaurar seu DNA original, funde-se permanentemente ao seu antebraço, transformando-o em 100% humano para sempre. Agora entrando na equipe Omnisides, temos o Ben 100, também conhecido aqui como Benjamin Kirby Tennyson. Ele tem 16 anos e chegaria aos 19 no arco do Diagon nessa realidade. O Ben é o pilar da equipe. Diferente de sua contraparte Prime, essa versão é definida por um altruísmo absoluto. Ele utiliza o Suprematrix até a vida adulta, focando em missões de redenção. Buscou a cura para o Kevin Supremo, restaurou a Arbúria e salvou os Voladates da extinção, tornando-os herbívoros para coexistirem em Anur. Seu dispositivo é frequentemente recalibrado por Azimuth para corrigir a estabilidades deixadas por Albedo anteriormente. Agora falando sobre o Albedo, após reconstruir o Omnitrix recalibrado, o fundido ao seu antebraço direito como Galvitrix, ele se vê em uma encruzilhada por descobrir 100% Homo sapiens, sem qualquer chance de retorno, diferente do Albedo Prime, que ainda tinha alguma coisa ali dentro. Agora esse aqui não tem nenhum traço de DNA galvaniano, mas seu luto acaba sendo interrompido quando uma nova ameaça chega no espaço. Edwin, um Indomita que veio à Terra fugindo da encanadora Arsene por ter roubado um dispositivo dela e tecnologia do cofre do próprio Azimuth. Ao Albedo entrar em contato com Edwin, ele acaba descobrindo um bug no Galvitrix e sem intenção ele escaneia Edwin e ele desbloqueia The End, ficando preso em sua forma Indomita, o nome da espécie do Edwin, e sendo confundido por Arsene, que acha que ele é o próprio Edwin e tenta inutilmente roubar seu Galvitrix, achando ser o distintivo dela. O Albedo com o tempo acaba aceitando sua condição, que ele agora é humano e acabaria por virar membro permanente do Alien Force Team. Posteriormente, o nome do grupo será renomeado aqui para Omnicides. Seu Galvitrix, por ser seu antebraço, é praticamente um órgão, com ossos, sangue e veias, o que se torna um grande problema em situações de estresse, tendo reações indesejadas, como alterações leves ou até transformações parciais, mesmo sem relar na placa. Também temos a Gwendolyn Tennyson. Como uma autodidata em magia, a Gwen atinge um teto de poder que a frustra. Para compensar, ela desenvolve a forma encantada, uma transformação anodita parcial que amplifica seus feitiços. Ao lado de uma nova tutora e de Kevin, ela lidera o núcleo mágico da equipe, apelidado carinhosamente por Kevin de Magic Size. Agora falando sobre o Kevin 11 nesse universo, a origem osmosiana como ET permanece intacta. O Kevin foca em treinamento de controle, aprendendo a absorver pequenas doses de energia sem perder a sanidade. Sua revelação com Albedo começa com uma rivalidade agressiva, e o Kevin vê em Albedo o reflexo de seus próprios erros passados. Agora falando novamente da Arsene, mais conhecida também como Archimedes Bank, uma encanadora prodígio com um histórico familiar peculiar, filha de uma ex-detenta da nulidade. Arsene é aparentemente doce e prestativa, mas carrega um sorriso perturbador que denota uma natureza imprevisível. Fã fervorosa de bem, ela se junta ao grupo após perseguir Albedo por engano. Sua relação com Kevin é fria e carregada de segredos, sugerindo um passado comum ainda não revelado. Agora falando sobre novos alienígenas e expansão, o universo Omnicides introduz espécies inéditas. Temos o Double Shot, com poderes combinados de fogo e gelo, o The End, extremamente flexível com habilidades de teleporte, Cubicib, que tem a capacidade de cubificar objetos e estruturas, Counterbot, que consegue absorver energia cinética para descarregar em força bruta massiva, e também temos o Rapid Bolt, que converte a energia absorvida em velocidade pura. O Zero também pediu para eu deixar os recados aqui de lote e de produção que vale muito a pena serem esclarecidos. Sobre os retcons ignorados, os osmosianos continuam sendo uma espécie distinta, não mutantes humanos, e a idade do Albedo é de um jovem adulto. Sobre a função evolutiva, a história explora profundamente as formas supremas, além de dedicar um arco completo ao futuro do Ken 10. Sobre o multiverso, a trama conta com crossovers e reimaginação de personagens de outras franquias. Os status, a narrativa está concluída, aguardando apenas uma otimização do artista Zero para a produção de cenários a comic, algo que ele fará futuramente e vocês poderão desfrutar do lançamento da comic. A redenção não é apenas um ato de bondade, é a ciência de consertar o que o destino quebrou. Omnicides é uma história de dar segundas chances e de altruísmo puro. Eu garanto que se você ler, vocês vão aprender muito e ter um sentimento genuíno de alegria. Então essa eu recomendo demais pra vocês. Bom rapaziada, então vou finalizando esse vídeo por aqui, espero que vocês tenham gostado, deixa o like, se inscreva no canal, também comente aqui, tá pessoal, ideia de vídeos que vocês querem que eu traga, e também me siga aqui em todas as minhas redes sociais que vai estar tudo aqui na descrição. Então é isso, muito obrigado por assistir o vídeo e fui!